Hello and welcome to Trolls at the Two Tonne Bridges, or TOTTB. My name is John and I'll be your Percival Silverlight today. Thank you for joining us once again with your earphones of fun and your podcast player of choice. We truly do appreciate it. Join us on all of the social media channels on TOTTB podcast. Say hello, wave a hand, send us a picture of your left foot. Please don't do that. It's weird. Onwards to adventure! The Log of Percival Silverlight. Our current quest is to discover the truth regarding the dino races and the alleged cheating therein. Ifan Talroa, one of the merchant princes we have yet to solicit help from, both with the Death Curse and the Order of the Gauntlet, is having a dinner party tonight, and we are the guests. There are two potential issues, though. Problem the first. Talroa is allegedly involved in the dino race cheating. And problem the second. Silaqui has just been accosted in the street by a man channeling the spirit of Grandfather Zitembe from the Temple of Severas, who is currently in the form of some magical coma in his chambers. Why can I not have a simple dinner party? Oh well, off to Zitembe and adventure!
I'm just going to turn to the others in general and go, Grandfather Zitembe, and run.
Oh, you're gonna run. Oh, okay. Oh,
yep.
Right. Okay. So you're gonna run to the
Temple of Severas.
Up to the Temple of Severas. Okay. Seeing Zibby hurtle off like that, are the rest of you going to follow at full pace?
Yes.
Or?
Yeah. Yes, instantly.
I'm going to tell the guy who's just wondering what the fuck's just going on. It's like, I believe it, from what Zibby just made me realise, I think it was Grandfather Zitembe speaking through you. Now, I don't know if he's trapped or if it's something going on at the temple. So we're going to leave you, and she starts shouting, bye! As she's running already.
So, lagging slightly behind, Silaqui follows you, but the rest of you just charge
off.
Fast, though, charge off through. I'd like, from all of you, I'd like dexterity saving throws, please. You're sort of heading up through, you're charging full hill, and there are a couple of people, like, it's not super busy, but there are enough people that a crowd at various points gets in the way.
16.
4. I'd just like to take this moment to say this is the inaugural use of my first ever set with proper D&D dice that I'm actually going to roll physically. Because I've always had to borrow sets before, so you're even going to hear it make the noise on the table. It's very exciting for all of our viewers. Right. If anyone listening at home has any sparkling white wine, any prosecco, or I wouldn't normally be one to suggest.
Hold the phone. I have prosecco from our engagement. Hold on, I'll go get some.
Go, open that bottle.
I have a coffee with creme brulee syrup in. Will that do?
I'm not so big-headed as to suggest that I'm worth champagne, but god damn it, I'm worth champagne. So here we go. One dexterity
natural one
coming up.
Come on, natural one.
It's not great. With my modifier. Not great. I got a 10.
A 10. Okay, cool. So that was a 10. I like it, little Leonardo DiCaprio. Yep, nice toast there. Okay, so that was a 10 from Rana, a 4
16 for Silaqui.
16 for Silaqui.
It wasn't 4 from Percival, was it? You got 14.
No, I got
4 from Zibby.
Yeah.
4 from Zibby.
Okay.
I got 18.
Bearing in mind that if Zibby runs into people, he is 6'4" and weighs 18 stone.
Oh yeah, no.
And he's
Yeah,
wearing hard armor.
It's more a case of you're bowling people out of the way. Like in this instance, you are the Triceratops.
Oh yeah, I don't care.
But but you definitely for definite, you go ploughing on through them. Rana, you're much the same. You kind of you plough on through, barely stopping. It slows you down enough that Silaqui, who's dodging through people and probably yelling out the odd "sorry, pardon us," as she goes, actually manages to catch you up. And Percival, you similarly, you are like a leaf on the wind, just like swirling in between these people. And even though you're running in Zibby's way, that does kind of make it better. But there's the occasional flailing limb as Zibby goes past.
It's kind of, I imagine it very like parkour kind of Assassin's Creed.
Have you not got any pluses for your dexterity?
Yes, I got 18.
Oh, 18.
Full anime run. Your head's forward, your hands are extended at 45 degrees, trailing behind you like you have no bones.
Naruto run.
Yeah, see, whereas Silaqui has got a Mission Impossible run instead, but the elbows are up, the hands are up.
I think
as you round the hill and you make your way up to the Temple of Severas, you find that the place is closed for the day, but not completely closed. The doors are still open as there are still people sort of milling about. There's a few people. Notably, however, as you make your way up, Gary is not there to greet you. This is the first time that he's not been at the door. But you guys, you run up there.
Gary,
you know your way to the infirmary. So it makes
Yeah.
little to no difference. You make your way straight over there, and there's the one or two acolytes that are maybe making their way out, sort of stop and go, "Oh Jesus," or rather, "Uptown."
Sorry.
As you go past, you burst into the infirmary and you look around and you see Grandfather Zitembe is lying over there in the same bed that he's been in. What do you do?
Silaqui runs over to him and grabs his hand.
Okay, as you make your way over to him and you kneel down beside him, you see he's still lying there, still sort of shivering, slightly feverish, kind of like still looking around and muttering to himself once in a while, but otherwise he still seems exactly the same as when you've last been to see him.
Silaqui says to him, "Grandfather, we're here. I got your message. Now, is there anybody about at all in the infirmary, like, I don't know, a nursey type person or anything?"
At the moment there isn't, but you can hear voices out in the hallway that suggest somebody is being alerted to the fact that somebody's just run straight into the infirmary. So you can gather that somebody will probably be there in a bit, or perhaps is within calling distance if you want to shout for somebody.
Percival, can you go and ask if anything's changed with Grandfather?
Yes, no problem. So I
Thank you.
quickly pop my head out of the door and see if there's anybody kind of legging it towards us, because as you just indicated, there might be somebody at least behind us.
There is in fact somebody coming out in sort of a much more casual. I don't know how a toga can be casual, but a more casual toga than say the normal.
It's Casual Toga Tuesday.
It is, yes.
Hawaiian print. Yeah.
It's a slightly higher cut. It's opened a bit more at the neck.
It's got his favourite band print on it.
It's an A-line toga.
It's got his favourite bard from the pub.
The hair's down. It's not the hair's not like tied up or anything. Yeah, no. There is someone coming over who's sort of like looking to you, just kind of like, what are you doing here? Excuse me, can you? Hello.
Is it a man or a woman? Sorry,
it is a woman.
Hello, I'm Silaqui.
You're not there, Silaqui. You're trying to help
forgot.
Grandfather Zitembe.
Percival, have you found anyone?
Yes, you, madam. You, yes. Are you somebody who has the ability to do some form of first aid?
I am the matron. Yes. Who are you?
I am Percival Silverlight, madam. I will give you my life story later and sign any autographs that you need, but now you need to talk to Grandfather Zitembe. He contacted us through the spirit realm or something.
Contacted you through the... I'm sorry, what?
Quick, woman, to Grandfather Zitembe.
Excuse me, this man is my patient. As she comes in, she sees you guys. She sees you guys gathered around him, and she sort of says, just like, "Excuse me, this man is my patient. What are you doing here?"
Hello, I'm Silaqui. We've been working with Grandfather Zitembe quite a lot. He was actually scrying for us when this happened to him in the first place. I have just been personally contacted through one of your acolytes.
Contacted through one of your acolytes? The man is unconscious. He has been unconscious for the past couple of days.
Yes, and he can scry, and he has powers beyond comprehension. Does Grandfather Zitembe?
You don't know where you work.
Zippy stands up, he's full 6'4", looks at this woman and goes, he has sight beyond sight. Make sure nothing happens to him.
I have been doing precisely that, sir. What is this?
Yeah, you're not. You're swanning about in your casual toga.
Percival, this is not helping.
Sorry.
I apologise. Percival sometimes doesn't have the best bedside manner. Now, what I do need, and I appreciate the fact that you've been looking after him and caring for him, but I do need you to call an emergency meeting right now with the head acolytes. And here, we need to talk to them immediately.
Call an emergency meeting for...
Now.
Okay, roll me a persuasion, please. And you can make it with advantage because the other two are very clearly helping you.
Ooh. Okay. Ooh, both of them are actually quite nice. So 18 and persuasion it was, wasn't it? So 20. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, okay. The matron sort of she looks as if she's going to argue, but with the four of you all looking fairly firmly at her, she just sort of says,
Go and get Steve.
He'll know.
Very well, I will be back in 2 moments. Please do not do anything.
She's actually going to get Steve?
She goes off. A few minutes later, in which nothing in particular changes with Zitembe, he still seems to be lying there in state, barely sort of making any sense, mumbling but not really saying anything articulate. Steve comes in, and he is wearing much more like a sort of silken kind of robe, clearly sort of like setting down for the night. And he comes in, he's got curlers in his hair or something, I don't know. He comes in,
Casual Tuesdays.
followed by the matron, and says, now, what is the meaning of this? I understand that Grandfather Zitembe is dear to you, but what in the God's name has caused you to come and disturb him like this?
Hello, Steve. I'm very sorry to trouble you. And we were out. We hadn't been drinking. We were out about to do something. Grandfather Zitembe, you know, he has unimaginable powers and things. He actually spoke to us, all of us, through one of your acolytes. He spoke in his own
we have
voice.
pretty well documented his prowess. But yes, he contacted you through who?
Through one of your acolytes.
Ezekiel, I believe his name was.
Ezekiel. What?
Yes, he's in his early 40s. He came over all funny, landed on Silaqui, and then spilled his guts about help something.
In Grandfather Zitembe's voice, he asked to help me. His eyes rolled in the back of his head, and then he went limp. And then when he came back to, he didn't remember any of it. He had his normal voice again. It was definitely Grandfather Zitembe speaking through him. So I'm wondering if he's trying to contact us from the other side of sorts.
Steve takes a moment to process what you said, to think it through.
It's a bit of a
then
headfuck, isn't it, Steve?
He just sort of looks at you and just says, Grandfather Zitembe is the most skilled of us, but let me see him. He walks forward and he gestures the matron to come forward and asks you to sort of
Finally!
take a step back, and they the two of them start to look closer at Grandfather Zitembe. They're sort of pulling back his eyes, having a look at him, listening to his chest, sort of taking his pulse, and after about 5 minutes or so, they stand back up and they sort of they whisper back and forth a little bit, mumbling, a little out of earshot for you guys, but they eventually sort of say, well, he doesn't appear to have changed.
I would like to try and listen to what they said.
So yes, roll me a what's that going to be?
An earwigging.
Yeah, an earwig. That's technically a perception
Investigation? Perception, I think.
Yeah, it's perception roll, sort of mixed with sleight of hand, but let's say perception because that's
Sleight of ears.
that's more sleight of ears. Yes.
Perception. Yep, 3.
First of all, as far as you're concerned, what they said was, "Have you checked his weasel?" Well, I'm not entirely sure if anything's changed with that. It's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, it looks different,
Weasel.
but yes, yeah. That's as far as Percival is aware. That's what they said. So
He said something about weasels. I don't know what they're talking about.
They do look to you openly and say, we can't find anything changed with him, at least not since we last looked at him. And the matron says, no, I made an examination of him early this morning.
I can understand that, but what if, when he saw the thing with red eyes and it all went wrong and he ended up this way, I'm wondering whether some weird way, like a curse or something, has been put on him, and his soul and his personality, all of that, is trapped somewhere else, and he's speaking through other people to get help, like he's trapped somewhere.
It's certainly possible. It would fit the majority of his symptoms that it's some sort of curse. But
can I ask somebody, please, to go and knock up for Wakanga?
Knock up Wakanga. You want somebody to knock up Wakanga?
Knock for Wakanga. He deals primarily with things like magic and stuff. I think it'd be important for him to be here right now too, being that he's been working so much with Grandfather Zitembe. I think he would like to know. He was here earlier today, but we can, if you really want him, you can either, if you want to go get him yourself.
I think she really wants him.
Silaqui, she doesn't want to leave Grandfather Zitembe at the moment, being that it was the guy fell on her and spoke to her. So as much as, it'd be easy for her to quickly go and knock on Wakanga's door and probably...
To be honest with you, I don't really know if there's anything we can really do. Apparently there's been no change.
Right, I tell you what, I've probably got more of a rapport with Wakanga. Let me go and grab him, just because I think it's important that he has been trying all different things to counteract types of curses or spells. It might be worth it. The fact that Grandfather Zitembe has gone out of his way to say help him.
No,
I'm
that's
concerned
absolutely
that
true.
if we don't do something now, it might be too late.
No, absolutely. I'm completely happy. He's just over the way. What we can do
I know
is...
where his house is, thank you.
And do you?
Of course. We've
Right.
been there many a time.
We all do.
Yes. So we can go knock for him on the way over to Ifan's.
I think Ifan's going to have to wait, frankly. As much as we promised the Kene blah blah blah, we helped you. Grandfather Zitembe, we have more of an attachment to. The only reason he's in this state in the first place is because he was trying to help us. And I think he should be our priority right now.
To be honest with you, Silaqui, I don't see that there's been any change. He's obviously quite talented and intelligent people who are looking after him here.
But why would he have made contact with us if he doesn't need help? Regardless of the physical changes, I think it could be something more. If you wouldn't mind staying here a minute, Percival, and try not to piss off the nurse anymore, please. Let me go and grab Wakanga, and I'll be right back.
Very well.
Is everybody okay with that?
I don't know what use I'm really going to be here, but I guess so.
Yes, I was going to ask if I could make a medicine check.
Of course you can. Yeah, by all means, make a medicine check.
I have +5 on medicine.
Of course.
So
you can even go so far as to make it with advantage, because technically you can do it sort of as they're...
Well, that's a 19 for the first
so
one.
they're sort of helping you with it.
Ooh, nice. Is that 19 natural or dirty 19?
With dirty. And then 11 for the second one, so 19 in total.
19 in total. Okay. So you have a good look at the over the body, and you with your background, you do have a fair history of helping to sew people back up and to check for all the sort of vital signs. But even with that role, your conclusion is the same as theirs. Nothing has changed between when you last saw Grandfather Zitembe and now. This particular phenomenon that you've witnessed is very peculiar, and as I say, you were the one that put it together. You knew that it was Grandfather Zitembe's voice, but as far as you can tell, nothing has changed for him physically. Spiritually, it's a lot harder to tell. It's not very much you can do with a medicine check to work that out, I'm afraid.
There isn't really anything I can cast apart to try and help him. Apart from lesser restoration, I don't think that's going to do anything.
What we need is something like scrying or messaging, something where you can talk just into the mind, isn't it, almost? But we haven't got anything.
Not at the moment, Anyway, Silaqui, you make your way out, and as you're making your way across to Wakanga's, you are vaguely aware of somebody going, "Oh, Silaqui," and you turn and you see Volo is sort of standing beside another villa, sort of waving towards you as he sees you. But I assume you kind of don't divert to go and talk to him. You just go
No,
straight
I
to
just shout at
Wakanga's.
him and say, "Follow, I'm really sorry, there's an emergency. We will be there, but we might be a little bit late, but not very much. It is an emergency. I will explain all when we see you in a
As you're
moment."
travelling across, you hear him just kind of go, "Oh, okay." It's kind of like it's fading into the background as you head across.
Lovely to see you, by the way, Follow.
Yeah, it's literally they are across the like central area of this hill from each other, so it's not like you're going very far away from him, but it's just kind of like you're very clearly going in the opposite direction to where he's standing, and he's just kind of like, "Oh, okay, all right, sure."
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what to do now.
Just twiddle my thumbs here. So you make your way to Wakanga's, and the two guards there, they look to you, they nod, they sort of recognise you, and they say, "1 minute."
Okay.
And they pop in to go get Wakanga. And after a few minutes, they return, Wakanga with them. Wakanga sort of a little bit tired. He might have been taking a nap of some kind. And he sort of comes back, sort of rubbing his head, and just goes, "Oh, my dear Silaqui, this is an unexpected pleasure."
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I'm really sorry to wake you, Wakanga, if you were sleeping or whatever you were doing, but it's an emergency. Grandfather Zitembe made contact with us.
He woke up.
No, his body hasn't changed, but he spoke through somebody else, one of the acolytes.
Lead on. And
Thank
he just
you.
sort of gestures to the temple of Sevras and starts following you. And he says, "You were saying he was speaking through one of his acolytes?"
Yes, we were on our way to Ifan's for dinner. Long story, I'll explain that later. But basically, some random man fell on me from behind, grabbed me, and then when I turned around, his eyes rolled back in his head, and he started speaking with Grandfather Zitembe's voice, saying, "Help me."
Started speaking with his voice.
Yeah, it was like Grandfather Zitembe spoke through him. His eyes were rolling back in his head, and he said, "Help me," in a very, very weak voice, but distinctively Grandfather Zitembe's. And then the man collapsed on the floor and then came back to, and he doesn't remember any of it. It was like Grandfather Zitembe took over him to speak to me. I've been to the temple, and they said nothing's changed with his vitals or his body, but I don't think he would have reached out to make contact for nothing. I'm concerned that in some way he's been cursed and he's trapped. Being that you work so well with things like magic and your own unique skills, I thought you would be the best person to speak to about it.
You did the right thing by coming to us, Silaqui. Let's see what the grandfather can tell us then. He makes his way into the infirmary, and the rest of you, as you're sort of stood there, you're just kind of like, just sort of waiting for Silaqui to get back. She comes back in with Wakanga in tow. Wakanga is already starting to make gestures with his hands and murmuring in a sort of arcane language, and clearly preparing himself to cast some sort of spell. As he moves into the room, he sort of finishes muttering, and you see this little flourish, this sort of glow of light in front of him that sort of seeps into his eyes, and then he starts sort of looking over Wakanga, raises his hand starts to glow, and he starts to sort of pass it over Grandfather Zitembe, looking over him. As he's sort of working, both Steve and the matrons step back, as obviously they do, sort of half bows towards the merchant prince as he comes in and starts to work.
Can I work out what it is that he's doing?
Roll me an Arcana check.
Dun 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 dun
Is your
dun.
Arcana any good?
+4.
Yeah, not bad.
Oh, there you go. 19.
Okay, you can tell that initially what he's casting is a detect magic spell. He seems to be looking for any sort of sources of magical disturbance that might be on Wakanga. Percival, as you're sort of looking at him, can I also ask you to make me a perception check, please?
This is where it all goes wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Every perception check.
Yep.
Yep, 3.
All right.
Oh, I love it when the dice roll to character.
Okay. Okay then. You take note of the spells that he's casting.
I'm more interested in that.
Otherwise, yeah, you're just
Yeah.
looking at how he's going through it, what sort of arcane symbols he was drawing in the air in front of him, and trying to pick up on some of the words that he was saying. And you catch enough, as I say, to learn that this is a way of detecting magic. Silaqui, though,
Yep.
You are perhaps the only one who noticed that as you are watching this. The rest of you are kind of watching Wakanga do his work, but you notice as Wakanga is sort of going over the body, he pauses at one moment, puts his hands down, and he looks up about the room, and he looks towards you, and then glances towards your side, specifically towards one of your hips, sort of narrows his eyes slightly, and then looks back up, sort of shaking his head slightly. And then he says, well, nothing appears to be amiss with Zitembe in terms of a magical effect. He seems still to be just in the throes of an unconscious state. No magical impacts or effects have been cast or enchanted around him, as far as I can tell. But from what you've told me, it is possible that Zitembe's mind, or perhaps even his spirit, has been in some way separated from his body. And perhaps through whatever medium he currently finds himself in, he's found a way to push through. I've heard talk of some people developing this ability when they've been cursed in such a way. The most often way that this manifests is through people that they know, especially people that they've had a emotional connection to. It helps to ground them back into the waking world again. So if it was an acolyte of Severas, that in many ways that makes sense. The sentiment of what he said is worrying. You know, this whole help me, that infers that in some way Grandfather Zitembe is
in trouble.
At the very least, he seems to be possibly suffering.
Silaqui, you said that she noticed Wakanga looking at her hip momentarily. Silaqui, because she gets slightly kind of a little bit self-conscious, as in she puts her hand on that hip or touches that hip.
Silaqui, as you reach down, you find that you have your sort of part of your bag is down, sort of resting beside your hip. Is your bag, what kind of bag is it that Silaqui wears again? Is one, I was under the impression it was one that she sort of has slung over one shoulder. Yeah,
she's got like a little satchel thing, and she, just.
Yeah.
In the 90s, they used to call them slag bags.
Yeah.
It's basically just goes over like a diagonal, but it's sort of floppy.
As you reach down, you find out that Wakanga was looking at your slag bag.
With that, Silaqui's like, okay. She opens her bag and looks in her bag, and basically just puts her hand in her bag.
Okay. As you do so, you can see any number of items in there that are whatever you carry around in your bag. You know what's in your inventory, so you know what will be what will most likely be in there. One point of order here, just above game, just pointing out, Percival was the one that worked out what Wakanga was doing. He just looked peculiarly at you, just as a sort of by the by. So you can. It is a bit weird that he decided to look at your hip for no apparent reason, but you haven't put together exactly what he was doing.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. It was more that she had, even though she hadn't noticed like the whole, him gauging anything. It was just more, what's your problem with my hip? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You look in and you see your things. Nothing seems out of place.
Did I miss why he was looking at her hip?
No, there wasn't really an explanation for why he was doing it.
But between information that I have and Silaqui has,
there's a little bit of metagaming.
You might be able to work it out.
Yeah, so I don't know if you heard. I told John, because he was working out what Wakanga was doing. He was doing basically a detect magic.
Oh, and there's a magic thing in her. Yeah, okay.
We think. Metagame.
I'm not going to do anything with that information. It's just.
I've just realised that's also the wrong spelling of bear, isn't it? So that is
the wrong spelling of bear. Yes.
I glanced at it and I was like phonetically that's right. I mean, I was sitting there, I was just like, no, that has a far more sexually aggressive message.
Yeah, it was like nice elbow, bro. But
I think I've actually upset myself. I'm gonna
quite disturbing.
I'm terribly sorry.
I didn't know you had children, Wakanga. Why do you want me to get them naked?
God.
Okay.
It's a bit weird.
That's much more satisfying.
Oh yes, far more. Anyway,
more wholesome at least.
Well, depends. So, Wakanga has told you this information. Is there anything else you guys want to do at this? Excuse me, moment.
Do I think that there's actually anything that we can do? Be it magically.
Are you asking
boring you?
Are you asking?
You're asking the DM.
Are you asking the DM what you
to
think? Do I think?
No, what I mean is
Okay.
what I mean
Can you
is
tell us
literally
what we should do?
no, it's not. Tell me how to solve this, DM. Give me
Okay.
all of the answers. No, I literally just mean, is there anything that I could do to help?
With the arcane roll that you had earlier, Percival,
Yes.
and with what Wakanga's saying about Zitembe being possibly cursed and that this is some sort of magical impact, magically induced coma, what you would know is that you would need a healing spell of probably significant power. One in particular that comes to mind is Remove Curse.
Yeah.
That is literally a spell, the whole purpose of which is to remove the accursed condition from somebody or something. However, as far as you are aware, no one you've encountered so far has that kind of magic.
Okay, so I am aware of that bit of magic, and I'm aware that might actually be something that
might be
that would
something.
be
If
of
you
use.
can find somebody that can cast Remove Curse, that would be most likely the way of actually.
Cool. Because I myself, I'm aware of that. I just wanted to know if Percival would know something like that.
We'll say that. Without Arcana, plus the fact of what Wakanga is saying, and kind of sort of between you could probably like exchange some notes there, even, and just be like, so this is kind of the deal. And the problem is, Wakanga doesn't have the power to effect that kind of change, and as far as he knows,
What about
nobody else in Portney and Zaro does. There are.
So, Zibby, maybe have you got any experience with removing curses, or maybe Rana? I don't know.
Rana shakes his head.
Not until I get to level 5.
I noticed you didn't ask me, Percival, but you're quite right.
I mean, you don't tend to be a very magic-y kind of person, Silaqui. But yes,
You're quite right. Yes, it's just pointing it out. That's all.
I mean, you kind of.
She's not wrong.
You know, but I certainly didn't want to offend you. Anyway, I mean, Zibby, so level 5, okay. So what is that? 1 month, 2 months?
Current rate is possibly 2027.
I mean,
Wow.
you're not wrong.
There's a shed load of XP coming up there. Yeah.
I'm actually just looking myself, just trying to work out. I thought I had looked through and worked out who had it, but the person I was thinking of doesn't actually have it. So, who actually could? Don't worry, this is DM stuff I'm doing in the background. You guys discuss amongst yourselves
that's
what
all
you're
good.
going to do next.
Silaqui, can Silaqui speak to Wakanga while Percival's speaking to Zibby?
Of course you can. Yes.
Yeah. So, Wakanga, are you going to stay with him a while, or do you think that we should wait here? I mean, obviously, I'm concerned that he does need help, and he found us to say so, and I'm a little bit reluctant to go away, but I don't know what to do. I mean, what do you think, Wakanga?
Grandfather Zitembe has clearly either been or clearly has attempted to get in contact. The most obvious reason, perhaps, is because whatever state he is in, he wants to be out of it for one reason or another. If he is attempting to contact, maybe he's attempting to contact for some other reason, perhaps. But for now, he is perhaps beyond our help at this moment. Again, there are spells, Remove Curse, Greater Restoration, that might help. They can remove curses, but as none of you or myself or anyone here at the Temple of Severas has that kind of power, we must simply keep looking for what answers we can find. Right now, I appreciate and understand your concerns.
Well, I kind of feel responsible, really, that he's in this state, because he was scrying for us to see if he could locate the soulmonger. He fell into this state after doing that scrying, and that I feel like if he didn't do it for us, he wouldn't be in this state now. So I kind of feel like we owe it to him.
That is for your own morality to decide, Silaqui. if I were you, I would continue searching, meeting new people. Within your travels, you will meet several people that perhaps have powers you weren't expecting, but you may find somebody that has this power you need, and through them, perhaps you can work something out. I myself will dedicate my studies to trying to find something in my library, perhaps, that pertains to this power, but at most, I may need to send off to someone from the mainland, from the Sword Coast, perhaps, one of the great cities, to come out. And of course, with our pirate issue at the minute, many of them probably don't want to come.
That's another thing. Yeah, we've been talking a little bit about potentially helping with that as well with Zindar, but we've got a few things on at the moment. We are meant to be going to dinner with Ifan tonight. Well, I say going to dinner. We're going to his for dinner.
Going to a dinner with Ifan? Really?
Well, we haven't had a chance to speak to him yet. You know how we're trying to help the Order of the Gauntlet as well because of the dire mess they're in.
Of course.
And we need to get the merchant princes on side. I don't know, Percival apparently sorted out a dinner party. I really can't be asked, to be honest, but he's sorted out this dinner party that we got to go to.
So you'll talk to Wakanga and take his advice, but you won't take mine.
That's right, Percival. Anyway, as I was saying, what I might do, if you I might pop by. Are you going to bed early, or are you going to be up for a while?
He sort of he grins slightly knowingly and says, "My dear, I can stay up if you'd like."
Don't get the wrong idea. I was merely meaning. After we spoke to Ifan, I might like to come and talk to you about what our situation is with the merchant princes and stuff, because we got the dino racing tomorrow, but the next day we've got the big meeting with all the merchant princes and...
Silaqui, we'll be late. Come on.
So I just imagine sort of Silaqui going, "Oh, are you going to go to bed early? And not for me. I'm just asking for a friend."
And we can get the other thing is to be honest, I'm going to be so done there really after a couple of hours. To be honest, I'll talk to the guy and everything and see what we can do. But after a couple of hours or so, could you potentially send Gary and pretend it's something important that I need to go to and to rescue me in, like, say, 2.5 hours?
Come on, Silaqui, you missed my grand entrance.
Sounds marvellous to me.
I don't mind what excuse he makes, just any excuse if he just says something just to get me out.
I shall invent a reason.
That'd be wonderful, Wakanga.
Zippy pipes up and goes, "Cinnamon needs me as well, and I'll just go to the pub."
I assumed I was kind of having a bit more of a... Oh, I suppose if it was in front of people.
He does look to the rest of you and says, just kind of like, I mean, if any of you wish to come...
Yeah, Percival's already done knocking at the door going,
Hello, everybody, I'm here. Nice to meet you again.
With that, you finish up, you head on out. Wakanga has said, yes, he will send somebody to, quote-unquote, save you from Ifan. But yes, you head on over, and Bolo is no longer outside. And as you approach the villa that you have been indicated to, a pair of guards stand to attention and say, "All right, and who are you?"
Percival Silverlight, Chaos Silaqui, Rana Cree, and our dear friend, the Reverend Zibby here.
because nobody can remember my full name.
Right, and
Hello. Well, he didn't say my full name
yes.
either, Zibby.
Zibignu.
and you can see one of the guards holding his shield just sort of leans his shield forward and looks at the back of it and just goes, Silverlight.
His list.
You might have us down under the Fisherman's Friends.
I might just be there under Silaqui or Silaqui Nalo.
Come on, we haven't got all day.
That checks out. All
Or
right.
Defenders of the Throat or...
He's just said
Don't fall.
yes. He's just said yes.
Yes, you are on the list. No funny business.
Okay.
No funny business, mind you. We'll keep our eyes on you.
Oh, think you'll find, my good man. None of us are funny.
He's not lying, I tell you about that.
As they step aside, they bow you into Ifan's villa. As you enter the complex and see the villa, you are struck once again, in much the same way you've been struck by some of the other villas you've visited, that there's quite similar in build to Wakanga's villa, or even Jessamyn's. However, the way that Ifan has decorated it is how it sort of changes. Whereas Wakanga had tons of books and had sort of like crossed Yikawaz across the wall. And Jessamine had sort of snake motifs absolutely everywhere. Ifan's is mostly decorated with lavish silks. There is the occasional sort of skull of a dinosaur decorating one wall, and on sort of little plinths and plaques in the hallway, there are a few odd bits and pieces here and there, sort of bits of pottery and stonework, and here and there are some weapons, but they look much older, much more ancient.
Does he have any taxidermy about?
He doesn't have any specific taxidermy,
Okay.
although occasionally here and there you see sort of like a kind of leather upholstery kind of thing. So sort of some of the tables and some of the plinths have got this sort of leather lining that you are pretty certain comes from various dinosaurs. What's also interesting is that swooping back and forth, first one or two maybe catch you by surprise, but there's just several of them in brightly jeweled colours. Flying snakes just sort of swoop through these hallways and about. And actually, most of them are just free flying. Like, they appear to be flying from place to place. And you see, hung on the walls, there are one or two almost like birdcage kind of things. But none of them closed. All of them are just sort of flying back and forth, and just sort of a couple come down and take a closer look at you. And it's kind of interesting because they never stop. They don't sort of hover in front of you. They just sort of glide slowly around you, just sort of with their sort of slit eyes staring at you, and then flitter up to the ceiling again.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
Don't they remind you of, if you've got a balloon, like one of the long balloons, and you blow it up and then you let go and it flies all over the
Not
place?
entirely
Don't
sure
they remind
balloons
you of
exist
those?
in Faerun. Just going to put that out there. Of the
What
things,
rubber,
a very
maybe.
unfun world.
of the strange things that magic can produce, I'm not entirely sure anyone's quite got to the point of balloons, but
Yeah.
I suppose technically speaking, there's no reason there wouldn't be balloons, but
Yeah, you think like soles of shoes and things wouldn't be rubber, they'd be leather. You can't really make a leather balloon.
you are led by a servant of some kind through Ifan's halls, and eventually you come to a lounge, and you are greeted by Volo, who looks to you, is very, very, very happily sort of waves. It's like, hello, my friends. Ifan, please, this is these are the fisherman's friends. And he leads you in, and Ifan is sat at the head of this table, sort of looks towards you. Noticeably, he doesn't get up, but he raises his hand and smiles in greeting at all of you, even you, Zibby. The incident at the dino pens, as far as you can tell from his face, might never have happened. Now, Ifan is quite an old man. He's got this sort of white sort of, not exactly raggedy, but it's not very well-groomed beard around his chin. Has this sort of flat cap hat on his head with a little tassel coming off one side, and is dressed in these kind of rich red and green robes that have this kind of geometric patterning that again match the kind of patterns you've seen drawn around the Enzaro. On his fingers you see one or two gold rings as he waves towards you, and he gestures you and says, come in, join us. We're just in the middle of our main course. I'm afraid you've missed the starters of scrambled dino eggs, but we have the main course ready for you. And he sort of clicks to the servant to have them bring you some food as you sit down.
Does he provide something vegetarian for Silaqui?
Noticeably no. As the food comes through, all of it is various ribs and steaks, and only the slightest amount of like lettuce or salad is provided.
Silaqui just starts picking bits of salad to put on her plate instead.
Rana seizes the largest piece of meat that he can physically manhandle in front of him.
Zibby tells him to
and
get
then
off.
And then starts to eat it with a level of focus that is both unsettling, impressive, and genuinely frightening to anyone watching. Bearing in mind, Rana has wild shaped twice significantly earlier in the day and hasn't eaten
And run
for,
away with an axe beak
and
as
he's
well.
run away
And he
with
ran
a
away with an
corpse that
axe
he
beak,
couldn't
yeah.
eat. And
Yeah.
Rana is so hungry at this point that anyone that distracts him is probably going to get a nice shard to the face.
Ifan's smile, sort of, as he's watching this, it becomes slightly more fixed as he's watching this. Just kind of like, yes, okay. And just goes back to what he was doing.
So Percival approaches, and with his flurrying-ish flourish, he's going to kind of give a little half bow and a little flick of the hand, and he says, "My dear Ifan Talra, I'm absolutely delighted to meet you. I am Percival Silverlight, and these are my compatriots."
A pleasure to meet you, Master Silverlight. And he puts his hand forward to shake yours.
I shake his hand, and I give a little nod of the head as I'm doing so.
You notice that Ifan he doesn't really clasp strongly, but he just he half holds your hand. It's that it's not quite the limp fish, but it is kind of like he's holding you with the barest grip possible, and then just lets go. And gestures to you, please join us. I believe first and foremost that business must be done on a full stomach. Tuck in, everybody, please. Try the roast T-Rex. It is. I see. Yes, your friend has taken the prime slice there, but by the looks of things, I wouldn't want to get in his way, I imagine.
Rana's had a bit of a busy day that he didn't get time for lunch. He's a little bit hungry.
But there is plenty. You could try some of the rump cut, my dear. Would you care for some, please? Fill your plate.
Is he talking to me?
Yes, he's looking at you, Silaqui.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm very sorry, Ifan. I appreciate the offer, but I don't actually eat meat.
We don't eat what? Don't eat meat?
I don't eat animals. No, I look after my body in a way that I can't eat meat. I don't believe in it, and I just can't. Other people want to eat it. I have no problem, but I can't eat it myself.
He kind of has an aside to Volo, just like what? Just vegetarian doesn't eat meat. He just sort of shakes himself as if just sort of like, that's just horrible.
It's okay. Our friend Rana here has got enough of a stomach to battle for several meat eaters.
It often works. Rana's really not that bothered about the vegetables, and I'm not that bothered about the meat. So it balances out quite nicely.
As you say that, you glance over and you see, like, somewhat incredulously, Rana has put an entire Velociraptor kidney into his mouth, and he's just eaten the entire thing, just like a hamster cramming in peanuts.
I swear I didn't have any kidneys provided for this evening.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I don't want to know.
So, I mean, Zibby's sitting there with sort of like a dinosaur drumstick in each hand, sort of like gnawing on one, and he's like stopped and he's looking. He's like, "Bloody hell, Lana!"
Lana, make sure you chew. Don't choke.
little bites.
Tell me. I know why. Yes. I know why. Of course, Volo here is with us this evening. By here, I mean, of course, in this city. But yourselves, your fishermen's friends. What pray brings you to our fair city?
Well, we are not just friends of fishermen, my dear Ifan, but we are friends of everybody, including all of the particular high-ups in this city, if you know what I mean.
I suppose I do. I work closely with the highest of our society, of course. The merchant princes, I assume you speak of?
All of the merchant princes so far have been absolutely delightful, and I'm sure you will be the most delightful and and he just confuses his words.
Flattery, my dear boy. It will get you any. Excuse me.
That's a terrible cough you've got there. Are you okay?
It's fine. It's the doctors tell me that it's just a mild chest thing. It'll pass eventually.
Do I believe him?
Roll me insight.
Insight. 17.
Yeah, he appears to be telling the truth. Yeah, he appears to have just this sort of hacking cough that he believes is perfectly fine. Doesn't seem to bother him too much, although of course it did stop him mid-sentence there, which can't have been very pleasant. But,
do I think though that sounds like a hacking cough to me, or that's quite normal, or am I starting to get the impression that every single merchant prince in the city is starting to come down with issues of
interesting. Okay.
Curse or
with that,
something,
with that insight, you can also tell that, for one thing, Ifan isn't necessarily hiding the cough, whereas Jessamine was hiding what was happening by having the sort of bindings on her arms, by covering herself. She was hiding that state of decay that is coming on to those that have been resurrected. Ifan's cough is just appears to be that. And while he's wearing these sort of lavish clothes, and yes, they cover the majority of his body, the cough doesn't seem to be anything particularly nasty. It just seems to be a cough. You get you do get the impression that
just an old man cough.
Yeah, it's just an old man cough, basically. It doesn't seem suspicious from that.
Does he smell like tobacco, like he's a smoker?
There is a faint smell of some sort of herb, some sort of smoky herb in the place, but you're not entirely sure if that's the food or him.
Okay.
Does it smell like weed?
Very nice, slightly bloodshot.
No, it does not smell like weed. No. Is what I can.
Are you sure it's not coming from Rana, being how much he's eaten?
Okay. But yes, Ifan sort of just says, "Tell me, what you say you're mingling with the highest of society here. What exactly is your business then? In short terms, of course. We'll discuss true business once we've finished.
Of course. Well,
Percival, are you lost for words for once?
No. I just think there's a little bit of delay on my
yeah, I think there's just
my
delay.
brain.
Speaking and speaking voice. Yeah.
It's just, I mean, other than the delay in my brain, yes. No, I think that essentially we are here to look for a certain artifact, or possibly a person even, who is possibly better known as the Death Curse.
The Death Curse?
Yes.
You mean this horrible plague that's been sweeping the land?
Hey, that's the one.
Oh.
Yes.
And you believe it's here in Cholt?
Oh, we're almost positive.
Very much so. If you are certain. Whereabouts in Cholt? Hopefully not here, I hope.
Well, that's the rub. We know it's here somewhere, but it's a wee bit tricky trying to pin it down.
Yeah, we do need to try and find it.
If we knew where it was, we'd be there now trying to stop it.
I see.
Yes, we are trying to search and find it. And I think it not only could the root of it be anywhere in Cholt, but the Death Curse itself is basically all over Cholt. It's spreading far and wide.
It's all over the world, my dear. Have you not been hearing the stories? We found it in as far south as Zesapur, as far east as the Sea of the Seven Stars.
Aye, all of those places.
All over Faerun. It's a terrible thing. Terrible. And a good thing if you're trying to stop it.
It goes all the way north to the 10 towns, all the way. It's just awful. We might be coming to visit all of you to see if you can give us any assistance as well. So have a wee think about what you might be able to do there.
That's quite easy, my good sir. I, of course, can provide you with dinosaurs. For a price, of course. I'm no charity.
We're not asking for charity, but a wee bit off the top might be nice.
Although saying that, while we're on the subject of charity, have you heard of the Order of the Gauntlet?
Order of the Gauntlet?
Yes.
I've heard of their fool's errand into the jungle. I have also heard, as a matter of fact, that we are apparently entertaining one of their patrons.
Who was that?
Oh, silly man by the name of Dashhound, I think.
Oh, Lyric.
I forget his name.
Yes.
Oh, Daxon, yeah, he's a lovely chap.
Yeah. Well, the thing is as much as from what you said about the Order, you think it might be a silly job, they are putting their lives at risk for everybody here to help prevent the undead coming into Port Nyanzaro. They are fighting tooth and nail to try and take out as many of the undead as possible to make it a safer place.
Also, I mean, the man knows all of this already because he's an intelligent man.
Of course I am, yes.
But out of the goodness of their hearts, they're doing this. They are getting no payment.
That's all well and good, Silaqui, but how would this benefit our good friend Ifan here?
Just the point I was going to make myself. I see you were a man of business, Mr. Silverlight.
Indeed. Now, I think my friend here, Silaqui...
The way I see it, this order went out into the jungle. Who asked them to? No one did. The undead were there. We have our city walls protecting us. Portney and Zaro needs no help from the Order of the Gauntlet, and yet they went out there themselves, and This is not the time. Not the time. We are eating now. Let us talk of something perhaps a little more frivolous.
Fun?
Yes. Your name, for example, the Fisherman's Friends. Yes. I've been interested how you came up with such a peculiar, exotic name.
Well, back in our
I don't know where this man's accent's going, by the way. It's all.
Hey, I'm loving it.
Back in on a Sword Coast, is a particular type of lozenge which is able to help people's throats. And as we are the heroes of the throat, we kind of figured it might work. We might be stupid, but there is a connection.
But we know our brand.
We're just trying to be on brand. They're paying us quite a lot, you know.
Volo at this point pipes up and starts to essentially sing your praises. And over the course of about maybe a half hour or so as you guys eat, between Volo and yourselves, you kind of tell the tale of your fight in the Gauntlet. I'd like somebody, I get the impression that it's mostly Percival, to make a performance check.
Performance.
Percival, but can as Silaqui's been talking to him as well, can Silaqui help Percival? So
yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
I like the idea that seeing as Rana is eating in such a spectacular manner, he should be allowed to make a performance roll for his value in entertaining the other dinner guests with his shocking performance.
How many things I could fit in my mouth?
Have advantage or disadvantage?
I mean, it depends on your perspective, really, doesn't it?
All right, yeah, I'll give you that. Roll me a performance as well, Rana, and let's see what you get for terrifying the bejesus out of people.
6,
Oh, God.
which probably emphasises the terrify bit of that sentence.
Yeah, it's not really. Yeah, it's not entertaining. It's a spectacle, sure. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe more of the kind of nauseating than entertaining. But for the actual
come watch the nauseating Rana eat an entire steak.
for the telling of the actual defending of the throat, who's going to be rolling a performance? And yes, they can do advantage.
Well,
I think Percival, because he's the lovely of the group, but with advantage for us helping him.
I'm not hugely charismatic, but I have a bit.
Well, I haven't got cockle really for charisma, but
okay.
For performance,
I mean,
I've only got
in terms of
+2.
thematicness, it kind of makes sense because Percival's the one initiating.
Yeah, and
Is
being
kind of-
that
is
who
kind
the
of
fan
like you,
is,
unless-
and Percival's all
Zibby, because
Yeah, can do.
in fairness, Zibby did a really good job of doing the tale the other night in the pub.
You did.
So you can also chime in.
I've got. Was it persuasion or was it performance?
Performance.
I've got a +1 on performance.
I've got +2.
Same too.
Imagine, but Percival is sort of famed, and therefore.
I mean, I can do it. I can just do it with advantage, and we go with whatever it is.
Yep.
Yeah, go on in.
It's fine by
Okay.
me.
Do you reckon?
Yep. Percival
yeah.
at advantage.
All right, I'm doing 2 at the same time. Oh, that would have been so good. So that
very
is
nearly
11.
9 and a 2.
So that's 11.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then. So you tell the tale, and with both Zibby and Silaqui, rather not so much. But you also have Verlo helping you. You tell the tale of the defense of the throat, and you get the impression from Ifan that he's listening. He doesn't seem as enthralled as, say, Akene was, whereas Akene was kind of intensely interested in, you know, what you guys were doing, and that seemed to be even more just being in tune with her own interests. Ifan is kind of, he's listening, and you can tell he's basically saying mm-hmm and yeah at the moments when you pause, out of a reaction, out of a sort of like reflex, not a genuine reaction. He's just sort of he's listening, taking it in, but he's, you know, he's making polite acknowledgements of what you're saying rather than being enthusiastic about it.
Yes. Okay.
Dinner starts to sort of wind down. The food starts to Rana finally gets to the end of his, you know, mountain of meat that he's been eating through, and is still looking around for more, I kind of assume. But dinner starts to sort of wind down. The food is taken away again. Silaqui, you over the course of the meal, Ifan has constantly been trying to say, sort of like trying to almost like, even though you guys are a little way away, he's been sort of trying to waft some of the smell of the meat to you, trying to tell you just like, please eat up, eat whatever you like. And you've been refraining, trying to go for salads, but you've realized that the only salads that are there are really, they're at best, they're sort of wilted sort of barbecue salads that have been brought as a last minute thing. It's really, there's nothing substantial there in terms of a vegetarian meal. And in fact, even when they sort of bring out these sort of basically baked potatoes, even they are kind of, they're stuffed with like mince and stuff like that. Which means you have to kind of like scoop that out before you can actually have the potato. And Ifan is kind of there, just kind of like, he seems not necessarily offended by the fact that you're not eating the meat, but he definitely is sort of like, what is wrong with you, woman? He clearly just has no tolerance for vegetarianism or veganism, it seems. That's very clear over the course of the meal. However, as you wind down now, you sort of, wine is brought out, and Ifan himself is sort of drinking. It seems to be sort of the kind of Tej, the kind of beer of Portney and Zara, rather than true wine. But wine is brought out for those that want it. And talk starts to move around to the initial reason that Volo was there. Volo starts up his pitch, basically, of selling to Ifan his book, Volo's Guide to Monsters.
I'm amazed that Ifan doesn't have it already.
Well, that's the thing. Initially, Ifan's point is very direct, much like he was with you, being direct to sort of say, you know, the order went out there. You know, he clearly doesn't think the order was doing a very good job. In the same sense here, he's kind of like, I already know everything I need, so I don't personally need your book. But Volo seems to be sort of going for no, but you can provide the book. You can be the source of this book being provided to your citizens, or even to your handlers or to your catchers that go out into the lands. And Fan in turn seems to be questioning Volo now, and seems to be sort of looking towards more what actually is Volo's experience with dinosaurs. And as Volo's sort of talking, you realise that he seems to be sort of, you're not entirely sure he has a lot of experience with dinosaurs, and it seems like Ifan maybe possibly picking up on that. Is there anything in particular that you guys want to do at this point as the talk is revolving around this? Because at the minute, if it's mostly between Ifan and Volo, but you guys can sort of chime in here.
Who's sitting closest to Ifan on the same side as
So Volo is the one actually sat to his right-hand side, which is where he sort of puts his glass the most often. On the left-hand side, I mean, it's up to you guys. You sort of have two seats either side of Ifan, and then one seat across from him on a sort of a rectangular table. So you guys can choose, can decide where you think you would sit.
Who's going to try and slip him
I will.
You will?
You will.
Yeah.
Okay, so you should be sitting nearer to him.
So you would sort of be sat on maybe his left-hand side as you guys came in. So Volo's on his right, you're on his left. I don't know who else will be next to them.
I'm going to sit next to Volo, so I'm going to sit on the opposite side.
Okay. So Zibi and Rana, are you guys going to be... Do you guys particularly care about which way round you are, or are you not fussed?
No, I don't think Rana's fussed.
No?
I think Rana, you're going right. Rana is Rana is it's smeared with grease and bloated but happy. So Rana will just take the path of least resistance at this stage.
As the drinks are brought out, a waiter comes over to you with a sort of a small platter of very warm, wet towels, and just sort of proffers them to you.
Okay.
Rana takes the towel, sniffs it, and then he scrubs it all over his face.
Smells slightly lemony.
Yeah, he sort of nibbles it slightly. Nothing, obviously. Then sort of he pulls the face. He scrubs it over his face, but then he conspicuously rubs it over the back of his neck as well, as though he's almost giving himself like a bit of a flannel wash. And he rubs it over the back of his neck and stuff, and over his hands. And then it's almost like it's almost congealed. I mean, he just sort of he hands it back to the waiter, without really paying much attention.
Okay. Conspicuously, they don't seem to offer it to the rest of you, and that seems to be a comment on the fact that the rest of you are fairly well groomed still.
Yes, okay. not coated in meat.
There seems to have been some unseen signal from the fan to just like clean this one up.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
Rana is totally oblivious to this. He's just enjoying the fact he now smells faintly of a citrus fruit, and he likes fruit. So that's good.
So back to the conversation between Volo and Ifan. Is there anything in particular you guys are going to chime in or say or do just now?
So Ifan, I know that you are the master of beasts. It must be quite interesting for you to have Volo here come in and offer you some more information.
I mean, it's as I said. I already know what I need to know. I am in the trade of dinosaurs and flying snakes, and what more do I need? Do I need to learn about the what was that creature, the one from the caves, the Drider? Do I need to know about Driders from the Underdark? No, I do not. I need to know about dinosaurs, and I have to say, I've not been around dinosaurs all that much. I have to question how much your knowledge is worth to me.
Well, there are some lovely pictures in the book.
Lovely pictures. The point is to read.
Indeed. And there's some lovely words in there also. Obviously, though, you are the preeminent expert of dinosaurs in this area. Perhaps you could share some of that knowledge with Volo.
Maybe Volo could do another book that's all about the dinosaurs and your knowledge, and actually make sure that your name's in it, so you get the credit for it.
Or even, you could co-write it.
Yeah. Silaqui like elbows Volo under the table.
Make me a persuasion check, please.
Who, me?
Both of you, because you're both sort of working on this together.
Oh, well, I got a natural one, so that's good.
So, Volo goes, oh! As you nudge him on the side. And
okay, hang on. Persuasion?
Yeah, persuasion.
You do better.
Almost, yes. That is actually an 18.
Oh, very nice.
Silaqui goes, oh, I'm sorry, Volo. I think I was a big... Sorry, I know you're a bit smaller than me. Sorry, I didn't mean to elbow you.
Blood running down his nose.
It's fine.
It's fine. Out a little bit.
I'm sure I didn't need those organs.
Hold his head back, Silaqui.
However, Ifan does seem to be intrigued at the idea of being sort of like... I suppose there is something in that, I guess. And Volo, have you made any deals with any of the other merchant princes? Volo, through slightly watering eyes, just like, no, I haven't. You would be the first, good sir, to provide my esteemed knowledge to adventurers that perhaps with this death curse will be pouring into Port Nianzaro. Perhaps any of them could need my assistance in my book. Fan sort of strokes his beard and thinks about it and says, "There's something in that. Very well, Volo, Gadal. I will purchase your book, and I will sell it on under my monopoly, of course. Information on beasts, the taming and finding of. I like this. I could sell this. Yes. And I think I know one or two book merchants that would be willing to stock your book. and they start to haggle back and forth on the price. Volo obviously insisting for a higher price to be sold so that a higher cut can be made. Is there anything you guys want to do while they're talking through that?
Silaqui, she's acting very elbowsy. Well, being that she elbowed Volo and it seemed like she attacked him by accident with her elbow, she's going to go with that. And she gets her. I'm assuming she's got some kind of cloth napkin because it's merchant prince house. Blah 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 blah.
Yes.
And she picks. So she picks her napkin back off her lap. And goes to slightly shake it and goes to reach for a drink, and she shakes it with a sort of in her left hand. She reaches out and she shakes it, accidentally knocks Ifan's glass over. Like basically, she knocks into it. Oh, I'm so sorry.
So what that's going to be, Silaqui, is that's an attack roll.
Oh, she's an
Attack the glass.
She's just trying to knock the glass over.
No, because specific. But you're literally saying you're trying to knock the glass over on purpose. So
yeah, but
that
not
is
like
an attack
to get him
roll.
wet. She's just trying to knock the glass over.
It's
No,
an attack against the
I
glass.
know, but you're an
Okay.
attack against the glass. So it's whether or not you can hit the glass accurately. So it is an attack with a improvised weapon essentially there. So it's going to be
What, the napkin?
yeah. Yeah.
It's basically like it's slightly damp, maybe like a wet towel.
Whip it.
Swing
Whip it real
Do
good.
you have Silaqui even? Do you have proficiency with improvised weapons at all?
I don't.
I don't think you do.
No. Would it
No.
say under? Would it just be weapons and then?
It'd be
Where would it
just
be?
under weapons under your proficiency on your
in-
D&D page.
In that respect, then, could she just
No.
use the napkin as a kind of cover and flick it with her hand, because she's proficient with her hands?
Well, yeah, I've hit it with my hand. Basically, she's.
Well, that's the
she's-
thing. Yeah,
she's,
if you want to just
napkin.
punch it with your hand,
Yeah.
you can do that. But you said you're using your napkin to sort of flick it, like
No,
a sort of
I'm flicking
twist
out.
it and flick.
No,
Is that not?
I'm flicking out the napkin like I'm shaking it out. But I hit the. I'm
Distraction.
hitting the. As in like, oh, I'm just getting rid of the crumbs or whatever onto her plate. But she's hitting the
but
glass with her
again,
hand.
you're using essentially an improvised weapon to hit an object to knock it over.
No,
so
she's
it is an
trying
improvised.
to knock the glass over with her hand while flicking, while shaking out the. If you imagine holding a napkin and you're sort of shaking, and then you accidentally hit something with your hand while doing it.
I think you're stalling. Roll me a d20 and add your dexterity.
That's what my plan was. That's why I said punch it to start with. Right, D20. 19.
Wow.
Okay, that's to be honest, that's the you see,
Whole
didn't
lot of
even need
arguing.
all that hullabaloo. Didn't need that hullabaloo. Regardless of what you're using, you hit the damn thing.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me get that for you. And she picks the glass up and purposely puts it the other side of him, and starts using her napkin to wipe up any spillage. So she moves it more towards her.
So, as that happens, Ifan is definitely he in the middle of it. He throws up his hands and is like, "Oh, for God's sake, woman, pay attention to what you're doing."
I'm very clumsy today. I don't know what's got into me today. I'm very sorry.
Very clumsy. You had to lean over Volo there to knock the damn thing.
I'm sorry. In fairness, Volo is quite small. No offence, Volo. It's not hard to lean over Volo.
It's fine. And he clicks to get a servant to come over, who comes with a pitcher of Tej, and he comes over and he picks it up. He does pick it up in his left hand where you've placed it, and he goes to have it poured, and he sets it back down as you're sort of leaning across.
Yeah.
So is he paying attention to this drink at the moment?
Not right now. What I would say is if you want to try and slip something in just now, you can make it with advantage because he is. But if you wait too long, he won't be with advantage.
But is the person still there as well? Like, who just poured the drink? They just stood right there.
Well, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait until they. Yeah.
So the point of the stealth check is to cover all of that.
Oh, okay.
Regardless of when he makes it, regardless of where the person is standing, it will still be a sleight of hand check.
Yeah.
Right now, it will be made at advantage because you've made this distraction.
Oh,
So-
it's
But if he
silly.
waits too long,
Yeah. No,
advantage will be
I'm doing it right now.
Yep,
There
fair enough.
is no pussyfooting around with this. Okay. So
All right.
sleight of
Yep.
hand.
Make a sleight of hand from you, Percival, and you can make it at advantage.
Okay. Oh my God!